To order of the Board of Trustees Facility Committee meeting scheduled for tonight, this evening, January 15, 2005, at 5:30 at the Administration Building. Present are myself, the Chair, Dr. Enrique Escobedo, member of the Facilities Committee, and also Mr. Herman Otis Powers. Also is representing administration is the Superintendent, Mr. Gonzalez. The committee's goal is to provide and maintain adequate facilities in order to support ongoing academic programs. We'll begin by calling calling the meeting to order, of course, and second, administration's introductory remarks. Mr. Gonzalez and Ms. Galvan just joined us.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman, members of the board. This is as we turn the year now, we're heading into the actual looking at the bond program and other construction programs that are ongoing in the district. Aside from the bond money, of course, we all have locally funded programs, locally funded projects that we're doing. And we felt that it's time to bring the board up to date and then discuss some of the items concerning architect selection and so on and so forth as to what we're going to be doing during this bond program. A lot of people just think it's just the schools, but we have a lot of other bond-funded programs that are going to be out there, as well as locally funded programs. So with that in mind, I'd like to go ahead and go on to item 3, if I may, Mr. Lehman, which is
discussion on ongoing locally funded projects. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. You all have your booklets with you, and what we'll do is I have Mr. Tapia that's going to be doing the presentation on this ongoing funded projects. And Mr. Tapia, would you walk us through that real quickly, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Dr. Escobedo, members of the Facilities Committee. Starting on page 1, labeled O2 on your packet, we have the first project we have there is a combination bond local funding. We had a roofing project that we had ongoing before the bond, and now that the bond's funded, Puget and Victoria are actually part of the bond program. So we're going to already use the first bond monies to pay for those 2 schools, and Skinner will stay out of local because they were not listed in the bond program. So already we're seeing about 1.15 million for Puget and Victoria out of the bond. The Skinner will be about 440,000. The other elementary school, 141, is funded already. 10 million has been put aside by the district, and that's one that we're going to attempt to move to the bond program if we can build 3 elementaries out of the bond. So this money may wind up being bond instead of local. Central Annex, we've also budgeted almost $1.5 million. We've got the RFQ rankings in. It's just a matter of making a recommendation which architect we want to finish off that project and what departments will be moving in there. All the other ones have been on the books for quite a while. The Pace 2-story wing, we're going to be bidding. It's already bidding out. We're going to open up bids, I believe, this Thursday. There's been a little lack of bidding activity from vendors picking up plans, so we may want to extend that 1 more week if we're not happy with the amount of bidders we're going to be getting. But we're already bidding it out. The Hannah kitchen renovations is also we're going to be bidding that out this week. Air conditioning bids, those we had 2 vendors that participated. We're ranking them right now, and we'll be making a recommendation to the February board meeting to award that contract. Also, Lincoln Park, we have some infrastructure we're trying to fix up, some rusted beams and trusses, and we have a little bit of a safety factor there. The structural engineers recommended some shoring up that maintenance is already taken care of. So we're opening up bids this Thursday. We're also having problems finding bidders, so if we only have 1, we may extend that another week as well. Everything else below this is under construction. The Falkstell classroom wing additions are under construction. Elementary 140 is just about finished. Site work really is just some grading and landscaping that's pending and a few punch list items on the inside. The project for this building should be started within 2-3 weeks. We just got submittals approved for the roofing project, and the glass curtain will probably start about 6 weeks from now. And we're working on some electrical and air conditioning upgrades to our computer services rooms here and some file server rooms, some additional air conditioning. The Lopez Band Hall AC was done over the Christmas break. They're about 90, well, they're building up to 74, but we're more like 90% complete there. And the Stillman Iturria parking lot, they already started some field work, staking, and then they're going to, as soon as the weather clears, they're going to hit it hard, and they're thinking within 2 months they can finish the whole thing. All these small little parking lot projects that we've done there, they're listed. We've spent about 270,000 of the 575, and we got Villanueva and Resaca, which are new construction that we're about finalizing the plans now. We're going to be bidding those out in the next couple of weeks. Kitchen renovations, Pace Porter already finished. We're just waiting for some minor punch lists. Parking lots at Pace Porter Hannah are pretty much done. Again, some punch lists pending there, and we do have a little problem at Porter in one area that has some water penetration that we're trying to figure out if it's a water table or a water leak. We're still working on that, but it's a small area, and about 90% of the parking lot's being used. So we need to do a little bit more investigative work on that water table problem we're having. The adaptive aquatic project was finished over the holidays. The pool packs and heating system were turned on, but when we came back, for some reason it wasn't working. As of today, it's back online, and the engineer's going to be coming down from San Antonio to inspect it probably Wednesday or Thursday. If it's still on and working fine, we'll do final acceptance on that project and close it out. And the fire alarm packages, you'll have a final payment on tomorrow's board meeting, and these projects will be closed out as well. So overall, we had about $45.5 million worth of local projects. Open it up for any questions.
Comments on the board? Mr. Gonzalez, additional comments?
No, other than we're going to continue on this project. One of the things that's coming up is the annex, and I believe what we're going to be doing there is we've got it cleaned up already. We've removed any mold or asbestos that might be in that building, and that's right next to Central. That's the old original building that's right on the corner of Elizabeth and Palm Boulevard. And with that in mind, we're probably going to be getting architects to go ahead and do that, and we're hoping to go ahead and develop that for the purpose of adult ed. So we're looking forward to moving with that project here in the rear near future. So I wanted to let you know about that.
I just have one follow-up question on the annex, central annex renovation. The transformer situation, are we going to just leave it as is, or are we going to be removing the three-phase tower that's hovering over?
What we have right now is they're on
Logistically, we were supposed to move it
they're
down.
on telephone posts. We're trying to bring them down, but that will be part of the project when we do the annex renovation.
That'll clean up that entire, it looks
Looks messy.
like 1950s. Right?
Yes,
It's
and
real
we'll bring
bad,
it up
and I
to
think
modern
we'll-
standards.
So if we can do that, incorporate and save some money in the long run.
We'll be doing that.
Aesthetically, I mean, we did such a good job in renovating it. And what are the plans for the outside, since we didn't touch the outside, the fascia,
On the annex, it's
the entire building?
the entire building.
So people understand that we haven't even,
No.
we only did inside and cosmetically outside, so once,
Well, once we finish it, you know, the actual brick and everything will remain the same. We're not going to change that. That will remain. Now, we will be doing some sealing work like we did at the
maybe
main
pressure
building.
washing, or,
And pressure washing and sealing it, and that's basically,
Repainting.
and repainting.
okay. And that'll be part of that.
That will be part of the project.
Any other comments? Okay, move on to item 4, discussion and update on bond projects. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman. As you well know, there's a lot to the bond project that a lot of people don't know. What we're going to do is walk you through this, and that's we have the high school number 6, which is going to be about 50 million. Middle school number 12, which is 25 million. Elementary 142 and 143, which was 30 million was allocated total for that. And the classroom wing and renovation projects at $30 million for a total of $135 million. We just want to refresh your memory on that, and all the items that are there, I hope you had time to look at them. What I want to say is that as we prepare for these, that doesn't mean we're going to go spend $30 million on 2 elementary schools. And it also does not mean that we're going to go spend $25 million on a middle school. That was what the amount of money that was put into the bond program to ensure that everything that needs to be done. If we have money left over, which we do anticipate, we will reallocate that money to other schools. As Mr. Tapia said, there's a possibility of financing a whole other elementary with that, make it 3 elementaries rather than 2. So as we go through, we'll find out what we're going to be able to do and what we're not going to be able to do. And we also have a presentation on where the schools are going to be located, because I think it's important for the general public to know, okay, we're building schools, we say we're building schools, where are the schools going to be at? and the reason why and the rationale why. That's very, very important. I sent you all, we did a presentation to the Bond Oversight Committee this past Thursday. As you well know, the Bond Oversight Committee, we're still establishing their bylaws, and they're still establishing procedures that they need to establish. However, they made a presentation, and even though they could not take official action because they haven't developed their bylaws, they understood what was going on, and we had a general consensus to move forward on everything that was there. The interim chairperson, and I'd like to introduce him to you, is Mr. Barbosa Bush. My understanding, he's the interim person in the Bond Oversight Committee. He's the chairperson and he's here, and in case you want to ask him any question, we'll be glad to let him address any areas that you think he might need to address concerning the Bond Oversight. But I did send you a DVD. I hope you had an opportunity to see it. It's also being aired on TV and will continue to air this. That way, if anybody in the general public wants to know what's going on, they're free to call me or any one of my staff that present it and be able to answer any questions. But before we discuss all these in great detail, we would like to do a mini presentation to this committee. By the way, this is also being taped, and it also will be aired on TV. We believe in transparency, and this is why we're doing it. I think that a lot of people don't have the time to come to these board meetings, to these committee meetings, to see what's going on. I think it's our responsibility and our due diligence to get it out to them the best way we can. We are very fortunate to have our own TV station, that we can do this, and we can air this, and we're going to be doing that. So if you don't mind, Mr. Lehman, I'd like to do a little mini presentation that we did to the Bond Oversight Committee. It will not be as lengthy. That other one lasted about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It will certainly be a shorter version of about 30 minutes in length. With your permission, we'd like to get started. Go ahead, Tony. Mr. Fuller will be replacing the CFO. He's ill today. Mr. Sanchez wasn't able to join us. I guess he's a little bit under the weather, but Mr. Fuller will do a very adequate job of filling in for him. Mr. Fuller?
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Before you start, is any other members from the bond committee in the audience? I know Mr. Leal's out there. Okay.
Yes, and anybody else?
All right.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman, other members of the committee, Mr. Gonzalez. Basically, what we're going to be looking at is the book that was presented to the Bond Oversight Committee last Thursday. Does everybody have a copy of this book? Okay. I'll be discussing section 1. This is the same information, again, that was presented to the Bond Oversight Committee on Thursday. There's a couple areas I just want to kind of highlight. The first one being the bond payment. Back in May, the voters approved the $135 million bonds. Annually, we would need to repay approximately $9.8 million. 7.5 of that is coming from state assistance, and 2.3 is coming from local taxpayers. So you can see, during the bond process, we were looking at a 75-25 split. It's basically come down to 76%, 23% split. Timeline. What we did with the $135 million is we went out for proposals from our financial advisors for our Flex Repo. Approximately 5 proposals were sent in. MBIA was the awarded bidder. We used a 48-month draw schedule on that proposal. Right now, the yield is approximately 4.7%, and remember our arbitrage rate is 4.1% approximately. That difference, again, it'll all be calculated out, and it doesn't mean we get to keep that difference. We'll probably have to send that back to the IRS. Tax rate, currently our tax rate is at 131.56 for M&O, and then debt rate is at 0.0898. Again, that 0.0898 is to pay all debt service requirements, not only our 2006 issue, but also the prior issues. Next year, we're looking at, because of the states coming in with another tax relief, or so they say right now, tax relief, we're possibly looking at about 99 cents for M&O and about 0.0898 for debt service again, but we'll have to calculate that out. Down towards the bottom on leverage, basically what we're talking about here is the leverage of our state assistance. Take a $40,000 acre lot, and locally we'll have to pay about $9,400, and the state assistance for that will be the difference. Transportation, I want to highlight this because Mr. Chirinos will be coming back up here and talk about it. Our budget that we adopted back in July 1 is about $14.4 million. The state will send us approximately $2.6 million. So that means locally, we have to make up that difference. That's basically it for section one. Are there any questions?
I have one. What is the recapture or the interest that is going to be gained in the 3 years that is not subject to arbitrage?
I
Or
don't,
what is the estimated?
again, I haven't looked, I have not figured out those numbers, and I don't recall our financial advisors giving it to us. We can get that back to you, though.
Okay. I need to know, I mean, we know more or less that we're gonna have to give some of it back, but what is it
Okay.
we're gonna gain?
We'll get with our financial
Or
advisors.
estimated timetables?
Mr. Ford, isn't the arbitrage, we can go up to what, 4.1?
4.1,
4.1? So
Or
what,
anything beyond that is subject to.
subject to their
it's returned
arbitrage.
to the IRS. The IRS keeps that above 4.1.
But I mean,
So-
I think we adopted a 3-year or 4-year timetable.
What we have done is that we're in a timeline. The state says that due to the fact that it is bond money, we're in a 3-year timeline. We have asked for an extension to 4 years because it's going to take a full 3 years to build a high school. So with that in mind, depending on how much money we have as we pay, will determine how much interest we're going to be able to gain and keep. That money that we're able to keep at the 4% will be reinvested back into bond, or we can reinvest it back into, basically into capital projects as we see fit. So we've done that before, the 1998 bond, 97 bond. We were able to do that, and we were able to do the gyms at Pace Porter and Hannah strictly out of interest money that was gained out of that bond proceeds, from interest money. So we anticipate gaining some money from and when we do that, we'll reinvest it in capital outlay. So it'll be
Possibly we'll have enough money for another elementary.
It could be very well that we do that.
That's
It
what
all
we
depends how long we keep our money in the bank.
Okay.
Right now, it's in the bank earning interest, so at 4%.
So I just wanted curiosity. Okay. Go ahead. Any other questions? Okay, Mr.
Okay, Mr. Raul Vasquez and Mr. Ben Estrada will review section two, which will be the demographics.
Mr. Lehman, Mr. Gonzalez, board members, what we have here, and you have to realize that when we start doing our demographics, we go out and look at subdivisions or future subdivisions, and the way we try to figure out the density of the population there is that you have to realize that in Brownsville, the population of Brownsville is very young. So when we look at these sections, we're looking at 2.5 students per household. We also look at the fact that 70% of any students in any new subdivision are going to be elementary students. The rest of them will be middle school and high school. In this particular area that we have here, that we're proposing the 2 schools, we already have Iturria over here in Stillman, and you already have Ortiz. You have to understand that Iturria and Stillman over here will always be busing schools. There's nothing growing on that section of town. Ortiz will be busing plus the students that can come in through the back. Now, on these 2 proposals that are here, you're looking at middle school and an elementary, and another elementary that will be totally walk-in schools. Because right here, there's already been some property that will be purchased, so the students can come in through here, and down here, once all this is taken care of, they will all be walking students. So when you look at this map, and we're looking at A, B, C, and D, and if you go to page 7 of the material that we gave you there, you will see that in A, B, C, and D, we have between 1665 to 1860 the amount of elementary students that will be in this area right here. And we have between 666 to 775 middle school students. And then we have a 607 to 725 high school students that will be found in that area. And that's on page 7 of the materials that you have there. So as we can see, this area right here will be, it's very dense and will be able to support the 4 elementaries that you have and the 2 middle schools that are there in that particular area of town. Now, if these schools were to be built anywhere else, besides where they're at, then it can be assured that the schools would have to be busing schools because the population is here, not anywhere else. So that's the situation that we would run into right there.
What's that road down below?
This one right here is a proposed west loop.
So there's nothing there.
It's the railroad
Nothing there
tracks.
right now.
Railroad.
Where's that?
And this is the Morrison Road, and then if you look at the big map, sir,
Where's Morrison?
Morrison is this one right here, right by the one.
Oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
Morrison.
And
That's what I was
then
gonna
right down underneath here is Academy and Home Depot.
How do you get in? Through Morrison?
Yes, and then of
Eventually,
course, there's
but-
gonna be streets on this other side that would also get in.
If you look at
Oh, there's in
the,
the back from Laredo Road, there's a
Yes,
street
sir.
also. But
Exactly.
okay, what's the other school that you,
This one right here, or this one?
is that?
That's Ortiz,
Ortiz.
right. That's Ortiz, and that's Iturria, and that's Stillman,
Where's Laredo Road?
that green one,
the green one,
cutting across.
cutting across.
Oh, okay, that one, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
And over here, the entrance over here on Elton Glores, on that green area on D,
right.
that's
right.
that heritage place over here below, right,
Yeah.
right there.
Right here, yeah, this is Heritage, that comes all the
No,
way down.
No, Heritage is.
Oh, yeah,
Is up, is the green one.
And then you got this one right here.
Yes.
And Laredo Road will connect to school number 2 up here? They're gonna put that all the way through?
Laredo Road, I don't know about Laredo Road, but 2 will have an entrance from Elton Glore. And
Right,
will
right
also
here.
have an entrance from Section A.
From the
We
subdivision.
bought a lot there that will
Yeah.
enter into that section.
D is half built already, or 1/3 built.
B is pretty well
D.
full.
D.
D,
D is in the process of
This will
being
be-
built right now.
Mr. Powers was continued. Laredo Road there's a road,
right here.
That's
Right there.
Laredo
it'll
Road.
continue down.
Yes.
That's what I saw.
Right,
So
and
we're gonna
this-
have 2 inches
The
on number
land.
1?
Yeah, you would have the entrance that come in through here.
You'll have,
and the
actually
entrance.
3 entrances.
Oh, okay.
The thing about it that I need to make very clear to you all is that's not even taking into consideration Hispania and Richardson development, which is coming. I've talked to those people, and they are going to be doing those. And we need to look at another school right in there because that area is, once it's developed, there's no stopping it. I mean, we can sit here and say, but that area is still going to be developed. It's going to be a critical area. It's going to be, like you say, on that Laredo Road, it's going to go right through it. There's going to be multiple areas that are coming in, tying into Morrison Road. And talking to the people of Hispania and also talk to some of the city people, that they've been given some pretty good leeways and abatements there to go ahead and develop that area. So that's coming. It's just a matter of getting it there.
I had one question also. The problem we have with Ortiz?
Mhm.
No, Stillman,
Yeah,
Stillman.
Stillman's back here.
the lift station, because of the development, we ended up having to pay for it.
Yes.
So how are we going to communicate that with PUB as who's gonna get there first? Because my understanding is that we're negotiating with the developer on infrastructure.
If you look at the school over here by 1, which is the 16 acres, it's in the contract. He will develop all the infrastructure, including roads, including the lift stations, including everything. It's also part of the contract that will not reimburse that developer. So any impact fees that come into that school will only be the impact fees for the actual school site itself. Whatever PUB charges us for the actual school site, it will not go back to the developer in any form or fashion.
We had
That's
to
part of the
reverse-
contract.
We had to reverse Ortiz, I remember.
Yes.
So hopefully we learned from that mistake.
We definitely did, and we put it in the contract that that developer will not get any of our monies on impact fees. He will do all of that development as part of the contract for that particular school. Now, on the, what we need to realize is that 43 acres, a lot of people think is for one school. It's not. That's for 2 schools. That's an elementary and a middle school. So 13 acres or more or less will be for the elementary, while we use 30 acres for the middle school. So that's really when you say, well, you spend a lot of money, but that's for 2 school sites. That's not for 1 school site. And the water is, and sewer and everything is already there. That's already been developed. That's not even a question. That's already there. It's just for us to tie into. And so with that in mind, you know, those schools are all, the 2 elementaries will be totally non-bus school, what I call neighborhood schools. Because of the fact that might be some roads that we have to travel across, like Morrison Road, depending on how heavy it is, traffic, we might have to bus some kids to that middle school. But that's just the nature of the beast on middle schools, because there's more neighborhoods to come into. But those elementaries will be walkers, and for the most part, that middle school will be a walking school. It will save us a lot of money on that area.
Now, the other thing that, if we have those schools ready by 2008, gentlemen, And ma'am, we will reduce the enrollment there to less than 700 kids per elementary school, which I think that's what the board wants, no more than 750 students. So on page 8, we gave you a breakdown as to how the enrollment would look by, if we finish the school by 2008. And then on page 9, we gave you a breakdown that both middle schools will start off with 800 students by 2009 if we finish it by then. So that is right now, the population that we have at the middle school there is tremendous. And we'll be able to do that. We'll break it down completely a lot. Okay? Now, the other section of town that we have some concerns with and that we need to look at is that we're already building a school right behind.
Mr. Vasquez, before we move on, are there any questions on that particular property before we move on? I think it's pretty clear cut as to why we need those schools there and that we need to proceed with those schools there. I just wanted to bring that up to the Facilities Committee because it's important for you all to understand it. No questions? Okay.
Now, on the other one, I know that here, Garcia's here, and we already have purchased property there. Mr. Tapia has already informed us, and we're going to be building a school there. Now, the situation that we have here is that if you look at page 12, I have a red mark there where we're looking at building a school, and I know that we own property next to Gallegos. But I want to just make the board aware of that if we build an elementary there, you're not solving a problem. You're creating a problem. One of the things that's going to happen there is that one of the schools, especially Gallegos, would be totally low income. And let me just give you a perception. In Cameron Park, we have 1,100 elementary students by itself, so right there. So, and then the other problem is that both schools would be busing schools. There's no way out of it. It's way out there. It would be more advantageous if we would find some property over here somewhere so that we could use it as a walking school. And on page 13, we kind of build a zone for you all so you could see what it might look like. But not only would we have a low-income school there, but it would be a busing school, because the chief will show you some conditions on the roads that are there, just a 2-lane highway, not anything like that.
Let me get you,
Yes, sir.
you want to build a school inside Cameron Park?
Well, I'm just telling you that the density of the population and the advantages that we would have over here would be able to build a walking school somewhere back in here.
Excuse me, let me correct that. No, we're not asking to build a school in Cameron Park, no.
Or to address Cameron Park?
Cameron Park, it's like Mr. Vasquez said, it's got 1,100 students in there. We need to keep that probably divided into 3 schools. We don't want to, it's always best for kids to be diversified instead of one complete neighborhood going to that size of a Cameron Park. If we were to build another school next to Gallegos, we would make Gallegos probably 100% Cameron Park kids, which is not conducive to a good learning environment. We need to bring in a mixture of students. To be able to do this, we know where the problem is. We know we're way overpopulated in Paredes, Hudson, and Burns. There's no 2 ways about it. Gallegos is about the right size. We don't want it to grow. But if you've gone down Dana Road, I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to go down Dana Road. If you haven't, please do so. There's subdivisions going up all over the place there. So Gallegos will naturally grow from there. And if you look at page 13, it'll tell you what would be ideal. And the ideal situation is to actually build a school that will take in consideration the Brownsville Country Club. And that's, if you look at those the way they're divided, can you go to page 13?
Do we have, they have it in their.
You don't have it on yours?
No. But
Okay.
it would be divided so that we would have like a zone here and another zone over here, another zone over here, so that we could mix the students.
So you will see that you have Hudson, Paredes, Gallegos, Burns, Gonzales, Vermilion, and a new school, which would be that pink area in the Brownsville Country Club. And the problem with, the only problem that I see, and I don't see it as a problem, is the cost of land to build in those areas. But that's the nature of what it is. And, you know, are you going to do the right thing or not? And to me, you do the right thing. It might cost you a little bit at the beginning, but it's the right thing to do, and it'll cut down on busing. Dana Road, if we were to build another school on Dana Road, the traffic would just be miserable, and it would be not the best environment for learning either. So we really need to take into consideration as not that besides that school or that land that we do have next to Gallegos, will eventually, because of the density of population that we have there, will be a middle school site.
I was under the impression we had land, or we owned land at one time in Brownsville Country Club.
Yes, we did. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we didn't.
What happened?
I wasn't here, but I was here prior to, and we did advise at that time, administration and the board. I say Mr. Tapia and I were overseeing the facilities department not to move that land. We had that land and land on Laredo Road also.
With the coal pits. We won't get into that.
Well, it was administration and board took action to sell that land, but really it was an ideal site for a school, and we knew that, but it's no longer.
95 or somewhere around there, wasn't it?
We sold that in, what, 94, Oscar? 94, 95. Right after I left here in 93, it got sold. But I'm not here to blame anybody, but that was, the purpose of that land was for an elementary, because we knew we were going to need it. So we need that land back, part of it, if nothing else. The only thing about it is it's a little costly now to purchase back, but that does not take away from the fact that we need it. That's the bottom line. We need those schools where they need to be strategically located for the sole purpose of educating students and making it the very best for students.
The land next to Gallegos, we have 12 acres, right?
No, as a matter of fact, Gallegos is a 40-acre site.
No, Gallegos, the land next, don't we have property near Gallegos?
We have land right next
We
to
have
Gallegos.
21 acres or 12 acres?
We have an L shape at Gallegos, and Gallegos is right now using about 12, 14 acres. So we probably have about another 25 acres available.
24 left.
24 acres
So when
left.
we do a swap with the developer, I mean,
Well, yes and no. I'll tell you why, Mr. Lehman. I don't want to make the same mistake, because eventually, like I told you a little while ago, I'm not saying that next year or the following year, but within probably the next 5 years, the way that's growing in there, once that Dana Road hopefully will be improved, that will be able to be a suitable middle school site. Because we're going to probably need a middle school there to help that area.
Do we need to, so you could help Garcia
And Bella,
and Vela?
in between Garcia and Bella.
we have plans for that.
Yes.
That would help you, and we would have future plans and build it right there and eliminate that. Now, the last thing that I want to make clear to you all, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 6 schools here, and the other 2 schools that would build on the other side. So if everything's completed by 2008, you would relieve 8 schools total enrollment, and bring the enrollment down on the neighboring, all those 8 schools that are there. And then, when we do that, it's like a trickling effect. It would go down to Egley, beyond that to Garden Park, to Benavides. We would be able to reduce the enrollment in those schools because we would have all these new schools in place. And the same thing would happen with the middle school. Once we do relieve there, then we start relieving on the other ones.
I don't know if you know this, but within the next 3 years, if we don't build a middle school, or we propose to middle school, Stillman will be close to 1,600 students. That's the bottom, that's fact.
You have a question, Mr. Alvarez?
Any other questions? The demographics? Thank you.
Good with 4? Move on to item 5, discussion on process of,
No, we're still not
oh,
through.
you still there? Okay.
Section 4.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Powers has a comment.
No,
so-
I'll wait till you finish.
Okay, go ahead, I'm
Section-
sorry.
You're up, right?
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Hello, test.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to be,
Hold on.
go ahead.
I did want to say that one of the board goals and district goals is to have elementaries at 750 to 800.
Right. I want to iterate the goals for the general public, because I know you all, as board members, know. When we develop these goals in the board workshop, that we will be presenting to the principals and to everybody, and they're published, is that our elementaries, for optimum, a true elementary should be about 600 students, 500 to 600 students. That's the optimum size for learning. Right now, some are at 1,200, and that's not really optimum in any form or fashion. Our goal is to bring them to a reasonable size of 750. And that's what we need to do for elementaries, and the board has all agreed to that. 8 to 900 students to a middle school. Optimum would be about 750, but we're going to 8 to 900. We have some middle schools at 1,200, which are way too large. And to keep the high schools at below 2,200 students. And I think all of them are way over 2,200 students right now. So this is why the whole bond issue was brought into place, and this is what we need to do. We need to do the right thing for kids. So you're right. A good-sized school should not exceed 750 students for elementary, even though we are past that. Optimum, of course, would be between 500 and 600.
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez. The information I'm going to present is information that we presented to the Bond Oversight Committee last week. It has to do with properties. The research that we did back in early October, Mr. Gonzalez called a meeting in his office, and he assigned Mr. Lorenzo Sanchez, Mr. Pineda, and myself to conduct a property search team that he called. And so us three went driving around in the areas that Mr. Vasquez talked about based on the demographics. They made the same presentation in Mr. Gonzalez's office. So we knew where we had to look for properties for schools. And in the research we did, and basically just driving around, writing down phone numbers and calling people and calling realtors, we came up with several options and the sizes of the acreage and the cost per acre, and broke it down to cost per square foot. And that's the sheet that you see there in your booklet. It does include some properties we've already bought for comparison. That first property there on Highway 281 in Carmen is the 80 acres we bought for the high school at $12,696 per acre for a little over $1 million. Came out 29 cents per acre. I'm sorry, 29 cents per foot. That's a very, very good deal because the water is only like 200 feet away, and the sewer, we just got to bore under the highway there from Riverbend to use their sewer plant. So it's going to be maybe 60,000, 80,000 tops to bring minimum utilities to the site, but they're relatively right there in the area. So it's a very, very good deal that we got there. We also looked at two properties on Salida de Luna, and we wound up buying the 15-acre tract for $424,000, $27,250 an acre. The other property wasn't on Salida de Luna. It was actually off on a little side street behind an existing little bar that's there, and we didn't think it was as desirable as the other site. Does have a natural barrier from that business, a ditch, and has a little more security and safety for the children. And it came out to $27,250 an acre, 63 cents a square foot. But that is complete raw land. There is no water sewer there, and the city usually makes us widen the street in front of the schools. So by the time you add in the infrastructure, I'm estimating anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000. That 63 cents really turns out to be about $1.20, possibly $1.30 a square foot once we bring in the infrastructure. It doubles in price. There was another property right on the south side of Salida de Luna and near Coulter, right across the street from where we bought the other property. But that one, they wanted $2.50 a square foot because that developer, the land goes all the way to 802, and they wanted to bring in water sewer in a street from 802 and up. And they wanted to sell it at $2.50 a square foot for $1.5 million for 14 acres. And we just thought that was too high. The Brownsville Country Club area, Mr. Gonzalez talked about, we've got a hold of the owner and the representative of the owner, the realtor, and they've finally, we've been trying a long time to get a hold of them and see if they're willing to sell. They didn't want to, and we finally convinced them to make us an offer. And their best offer is $120,000 an acre. That's $2.75 a square foot, but it's got all the infrastructure in place. And these are listing prices. They're not true comparables. They're not, hard sales numbers. Other than the ones we already bought, these are the listing prices. Paredes Line Road and Heritage Trail, Mr. Gonzalez and I, back in summer, had met with the developer, Paseo de la Resaca, right across the Resaca from the event center at $3 a square foot. It was presented, I believe, to the board, and we were told it was too high, and we walked away from that offer. But all utilities were there and a traffic light and streets. Alton Glore and Stagecoach, that's the Glore property. I'm sorry, it's west of the Glore property, Stagecoach. It's a small acre tract, 6 acres, but we're really looking for property to relieve burns. And we said, well, we can build a smaller elementary, maybe 2-story and a 6-acre. Let's find out how much it's worth. Well, they want $6.56 a square foot, $285,000 an acre. And that, we just thought that was very steep. Alton Glor and Paredes, that's the Glor site. They have a lot of property just south of it, the actual business, the lumber yard, and they want $6.11 a square foot. The whole 31 acre, almost 32 acre tract for $8.5 million. And they would not sell a piece of the land to us. They wanted to sell the whole thing or nothing. So that was a pretty steep price as well. Alton Glor and Pablo Cusel has 14 acres there for sale, listed by Coastal Realty, $6.50 a square foot. We also thought that was very, very high. That's $283,000 per acre with all utilities. You go further down south on Pablo Cusel towards the mall, and there's a lot of land there on both sides of Pablo Cusel. Speaking with Manuel Perlman, they want anywhere from $7 to $9 a square foot for that property. It's high commercial end property, and it does have all utilities. Highway 281 and Flor de Mayo, or also known as Alton Glor, all the way west till it hits Military Highway. They're on the west side, heading towards the river. There's a 27-acre tract there. They want almost $3 a square foot for that tract, $126,000 per acre. The 43-acre that Mr. Vasquez was talking about, the property we have under contract with El Valle Homes, 43 acres at $1.03 a square foot with all utilities, came out to $45,000 an acre. That's ready build. The other 16-acre tract we talked about, $1.47 with all utilities, street on two sides, water, sewer, underground electrical, telephone, all utilities, will be paid for and extended by the developer. And per contract, within 3 months, he's supposed to have all the infrastructure in place for us. So that comes out to just over $1 million. So based on all the research we did, the investigation, the negotiating with the owners and realtors and everyone, these are the best prices that they would offer us. We met with Mr. Gonzalez, and based on all this information, we made the recommendation on the two tracks that you heard about earlier. I'll open it up for any questions.
There's a difference between raw land and then land that has infrastructure, is that correct?
That's correct.
And let's say the price for infrastructure?
It all depends. The property you talked about on Salida de Luna, the closest lift station is on 802 west of, what's that, Central Avenue? And it's almost half a mile. You're going to have to bring in a long extension. There's a possibility, there's a development that happened right at Central in Salida de Luna. There's a development on the west side, and they brought utilities in behind some business there, back to the back of their development. And PUB is looking at the possibility of making them extend the line all the way to Central in front of their development. So we could have, developers there could have a shorter tie-in from there. But we're not sure if they were able to size the line appropriately or get that approved. If not, all the developers have to bring from the lift station back all the way to Central, up, and then over, as well as the water line. And so we're probably looking at about $350,000 to extend that, and we'd have to build another lift station and then do a force main to the other lift station.
I guess what we're trying to say, Ms. Galvan, is infrastructure is going to cost you money. For example, when we built Hudson Elementary, that infrastructure cost us about pretty close to $24,000 7 years ago per acre. When you divide it on a per acre basis for people to understand it, it costs about $24,000 an acre to put in the infrastructure. Right now, it's going probably between $25,000 and $35,000 an acre to put infrastructure in. That's a ballpark figure, depending on how far your lift stations are. If you want to use an average, you're looking at about $30,000 an acre to put infrastructure in. So if you take that away from and you say, well, what is really raw land going for? What if you look at 60,000 minus 30, you're looking at 30,000. That's what it's basically costing you to do. So infrastructure is pretty expensive to do. It's not easy. Anybody that knows development and has been in this business for a while will know that there's there's a difference between raw land and land that's got infrastructure. That's the honest truth. And I think most of everybody here in this board knows, but we've purchased land before. This is not the first time we've purchased land. We've bought it, and it all depends on where it's at. I mean, you say, have we ever bought land this expensive before? Yes, we have. When we built the aquatic center, at that time, a few years back, right off of 802, we paid $50,000 an acre for that land. We needed it for the aquatic center. So a lot of times it's where your needs are and determines where you need to put it. I mean, we weren't going to put it somewhere else where it wasn't easy access, and we needed that aquatic center there. It was also part of the bond, and we bought it with bond money. That was part of the bond proposal back in 97 bond issue. Is that right, Oscar?
That's correct.
And that was part of the bond proposal that we did. So it's always been based on needs, not on you know, we can certainly go buy raw land somewhere else. I mean, you know, it costs us money. Nothing is, Ben Brightland cost us quite a bit of money. But we put it out there and we had to bring infrastructure in. And that's still on a narrow road, and we're gonna have to do something about it. So when we look at it, it costs money to put infrastructure in, and I would say in the average of about $30,000 an acre. Am I off base, Oscar, on that? That about right?
That's correct.
Mr. Lehman, so the property then, the 63,000, for example, if we take into account the 25 to 30,000 for infrastructure, the cost of that property probably is around 28,000, 25,000
Yes, that's
per
correct.
acre.
$25,000 to $30,000 is a fair price to say that that land would have been on raw. If you said no streets, no nothing in there, that's probably where it's going for. And then got to realize that the district cannot pay for street development. It can only pay for the development that's on land that it owns. So somebody needs to put that development in there for us. So it puts us in another situation that we just can't go out there and build roads for the community or anybody else. We can only spend money on district-owned property. Is that right, Mike? I know you're.
Additional comments? I just have one follow-up, just to get off, not to get off track. 141 is being funded through fund balance, right?
Well, here's the thing about it, that 141 is out of fund balance that we promised the voters we would. However, we're keeping track of this for the simple reason that 25 cents on the dollar, or a little bit less than 25 cents, what was it, about 23 cents on the dollar, 24 cents on the dollar, is what we're having to pay back from the state. If at the end we have money left over from the high school, middle school, and the elementaries, and we can go back and fund this school with bond, we would prefer to fund it with bond. So we're keeping track of all the expenses. That way, if we can reimburse the district and use it as bond money, we can, simply because that's the correct way to do it, and be totally frugal with our money and be very responsible with our money.
Yeah, that was my follow-up.
So we're gonna keep track of it, even though
Capitalize
we're funding it out of fund balance, because if we can have money left over and come back and reimburse ourselves, we will.
And that one has a ticket of 10 million?
Yes, sir.
A price tag of 10 million.
About 10 million.
Additional comments?
I just had one more question, Mr. Lehman. Going back to the property. Okay, so let's say I'm interested in buying a piece of land out there where it's being developed. How much are there lots running for, like 29? I think I drove around there and sort of looked.
These particular lots are going from 22 to 28,000, depending on the size. There's two
And
different
they're
sizes.
not an acre, right?
Oh, no.
No,
The subdivided
they're-
lots, they'll buy the Heritage Place, they're 50 by 100.
So it's 4, maybe 5?
You have 5 lots per acre.
Five.
Okay.
5 to 6 lots per acre, basically what it looks like,
About 5, I don't know about 6.
depending.
Additional comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Powers.
Yeah, you are correct, Mr. Gonzalez. I was on the board at that time. I got elected when we did the bond. And we told the taxpayers we were going to build the aquatic center, but the board was going back and forth on cost. Eventually, I just got to the point, the guys, build it, they will come. We have no choice. We told the taxpayers we would build that aquatic center. If you look at it, it's state of the art. So where it's at, it's easy access. So it was worth it back then, and I will stand behind that one because everybody compliments BISD for that aquatic center. We were sitting for about a year and a half holding off because we didn't know where to build it.
That's right.
But you have to do what the taxpayers tell you what to do when they vote for a bond. So that was great what we did on that one.
And it is, not only is it a showcase for BISD, it's a showcase for this community, and it attracts a lot of people. I mean, I was out there during when we had that big swimming tournament, and, you know, it's full. It brings a lot of people in, and a lot of people that are coming out of the valley, or the upper valley, and they stay in our hotels, and they provide a lot of money for this community. So it needed to be in a place, and the board made the right decision at that time. But that's basically where we were at, and that was the market at the time, and this is the market that we're at right now.
Additional comments? Go ahead.
We have, we wanted to present, you know, a lot of people say, well, why can't we build, get away from neighborhood schools and build outside the neighborhood where we put lots of kids on buses? And when Mr. Chenino is going to do about a little 5-minute presentation on what it costs to bus kids, and we don't get the money back. A lot of people are thinking, well, the state pays for busing. No, it doesn't. We, like you saw at the very beginning, we budget close to $15 million for transportation. The state reimburses us about 2.5. So the rest of it comes out of local taxpayers' money to bus children. Mr. Chininos, can you do a
Good
brief
evening.
presentation on that?
Yes, and we are expensive. We come with a very high price. And basically, the information you have there on the first page on tab 4, this is based on an enrollment of 750 to 800 students per elementary on one school. And we have to get to the frame of mind that we must start building neighborhood schools. Because if not, in the near future, the price for transportation will really go up. And this is basically, I'm going to give you an overview of, based on the information that we have on 700 to 800 students, is that we will need 10 regular buses, and then the average on a regular size school at that size is 3 special need buses per school. 10 buses, regular buses, the average of $80,000. That's what basically is they're going for. It's $800,000. 10 special need buses is at the average of $85,000 is $255,000. The startup cost for 2 schools will be close to $2 million or over $2 million on busing only. And the second page there that I would allude to is I have a new handout. I don't know if you have. They have this new one. Okay, good. When I presented on Thursday to the committee, they wanted to see the hard numbers as to what it would take for personnel and fuel, and those are the proposals there. Those are true numbers. At $2,104, and you can see it there, cost per driver per month, times 26 drivers, $54,720 per month for 26 drivers. We're talking about 9 months of employment. The total per drivers, you see it there, $4,848,000. You go down on the special ed buses, you must have monitors on the bus. So we estimate 6 monitors at a cost of $2,079. That includes all the benefits for the insurance and everything else. $12,400 per month for 6 monitors times 9 months of employment, and you have a total there of $111,000. Then that's a total on the bottom, $604,000 and $318. Those, we have to remember, that's a fixed cost for the district forever and ever. We don't stop paying these people. Fuel cost. An average route per day is 70 miles per day. Buses only give you 8 to 10 miles a gallon. At $179, right now we're paying, the last shipment that we got was we paying $179 per gallon. 9 gallons to run 70 miles, you have a cost per day of $16 per fuel, per bus. $16 times 26 buses, give you $419. That's cost of fuel per day for 2 schools. $419 divided for 5 days a week, you go to $2,000 per week. You multiply 2,000, and you can see it yourselves there, times 36 weeks, you're at $75,000, $384. That's fuel only. And the last page, you have a yearly cost. Fuel cost, $75,000. Then personnel cost, $604,000. Total, $679,000. And then you multiply that times 5, you're going $3 million. 5 years, let's say we're going 5 years. You multiply that times 10, and you're going to $10 million. So it is expensive, and I would like to tell you, I don't know if you have any questions or not at this point. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Chirinos. And then you have tutoring, and then you have, like, in middle
Yes,
school,
this
you have
doesn't,
the
this
athletes,
doesn't include anything else, only the regular, in the morning and afternoon routes. That's
and
all.
not the athletes like in middle school.
No, ma'am, no, ma'am, no. This is not figured in, this is just the regular routes, morning and afternoon. On the last page that you have on your booklet, you will see that every year we submit a Texas Education Agency report. And I compared the number of buses we had in 2001 to what we have 2006 today. And you will see the difference of buses, of 31 buses that we had in the last 5 years. The average enrollment or ridership that we report to the state based on 5 years, from 2001 to 2006. 2001, we had 16,000 students and plus. Today, I estimate that in July, when we submit the final report, we will report somewhere in the neighborhood of 31,000 ridership for this year. A difference of 14,000 students plus in the last 5 years. That's why you hear that we have double runs in the elementary. We just don't have enough buses for the elementary level. Double runs, what do I mean by that? We go pick up the first 60 students in the same neighborhood. We go drop them off. In 15, 20 minutes, we come back and we pick up the rest of the students and we take them back. And we take them home. Those are double runs. Every elementary has double runs in this district because of the number of buses that we have. And Mr. Gonzalez was alluding to the fact that when we do a hazardous route, and I think you're familiar with that, what is a hazardous route? That we have to transport students that are within the 2-mile law. We cross railroads. Students are not allowed to cross railroads. Major highways, they're not allowed to cross, so we have to bus them. But keep in mind that on the reimbursement at the end of the year, we only get 10 cents to the dollar for this route that we have. Do we have some hazardous routes in the district? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we study that every April, May. I go around and I study these hazardous routes. That's basically what I have. Any questions? I'm open for questions.
Mr. Chirinos,
Yes, sir.
how many buses do we roll per day?
On an average, sir, we roll 260 buses.
So what do you get 26 drivers per month? I don't understand that number.
Okay, that is on the assumption that we have that we open 2 elementaries,
Okay.
and each school has 13 drivers.
I got you.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I got lost there somewhere. I went to sleep there between the
Okay,
Suleiman, cup of coffee.
15 million and the 600,000.
yes.
Suleiman, I also wanted to ask, how long does a student stay on the bus on average? Let's say after stop and at every stop.
On the average, ma'am, it's 45 minutes,
Before they get
50
home,
minutes, yes.
which they could be doing homework and,
Correct, yes, on the average. And
so
on
more
the
power to
elementary, like I
community
said,
schools.
on the double runs. Anything else?
I just like to say transportation is my biggest department out there, and they're very costly. And even we say that we get 10 cents on the dollar. It's really like a nickel on the dollar on hazardous routes because, as it is, the state doesn't pay us dollar on the dollar. I mean, there's no way they're going to pay us that, and state legislature works that way. So it's not anybody's fault, and so buses do cost us a lot of money, and so it's true. We're glad that we have a lot of neighborhood schools in this community, and we want to continue with the neighborhood schools because busing is very costly. We have one last, and we just want to show you the traffic at more than anything else on traffic on Alton Glore, and the chief is the one that has to deal with that on a regular basis. Okay. And you have pictures in the very back of your book, and picture paints 1,000 words, guys, as they say. And if you've never been on Alton Glore at 7:30 in the morning, go out there. But don't be in a hurry to be anywhere because you're not going to get anywhere.
Right. Ready, sir?
Go ahead, Chief.
Mr. Chairman, Newman, Mr. Gonzalez, members of the board, this is a very demonstrative photographs that will show that traffic in front of Ituria, this is a daily occurrence. Currently have an officer that's assigned on a permanent assignment here. He's brought in a couple of hours earlier for his regular shift to work the traffic to the entrance of Ituria. That's exactly what we're showing here. The next photograph shows the northeast Alton Globe traffic as steady as they go. This traffic picture here shows the bus and traffic, parents trying to exit Ituria drop-off and onto Alton Globe. This is obviously a safe and safety issue regarding traffic. This photograph here shows eastbound traffic in front of Ituria. This is a problem because you have a vehicle right there. It shows that vehicle's trying to break into another normal flow of traffic. That creates another problem for us as far as traffic and traffic flow safety. This next photograph shows Ituria eastbound traffic. Again, steady as they go there. This photograph shows the westbound traffic in front of Ituria or near that area. This photograph here shows buses that are exiting the exit onto Alton Globe from the entrance to Stillman and Ituria. These are actually 3 or 4 buses. There's one behind the last bus that you see there in that photograph. Again, this is entrance and exit to Stillman and Ituria onto Alton Globe. This one here, perfect picture where we caught a resident that lives right across the street trying to exit onto Ituria on eastbound traffic, Ituria onto Alton Globe. This shows the amount and heavy traffic that we have, all kinds of traffic conditions. We have semi-trucks that are going up and down Ituria during our school time when their kids are arriving, our children are arriving to school. This is westbound traffic, Alton Globe. This is Ituria eastbound traffic, Alton Globe. And our last picture is eastbound traffic, Ituria. This is the daily occurrence at Ituria and Stillman traffic.
The reason we show you this is the importance of building schools on the right side of the highway. You know, anytime you can get neighborhood schools, this traffic will be alleviated because most of them will be walkers, and they'll be right in there. We have to put another, with all that many homes going into that area that we're looking at developing on Alton Globe, putting more people out on the streets and putting more people out in buses, it's going to create more congestion on that road. And we don't have a traffic light out there. I hope that the city's listening to us, and maybe they can put a traffic light out there on that to help control. But right now, we have an officer out there that does this on a daily basis. It's costing the district money just having an officer out there direct traffic in front of Ituria morning and afternoon. So it costs us a little bit of money. So I just wanted to close with that to see why decisions are made the way they are. They're just not made arbitrarily. We take a lot of time, a lot of effort to study before we make a recommendation to this board. So I just want to show you that and let the community know why schools are being built, where they're being built, and it's not done in any form or fashion without a lot of work involved, a lot of staff working out there, and doing the best recommendations we can, because we need the schools where we need them.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Is this the end?
Of this presentation, yes.
Mr. Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Lehman. Ms. Gonzalez, a lot of people, when we go into executive session, they think, this is what we hear in executive. I'm glad it's out in the open now. And it's hard to go against. You look at the people that, you have J.P. Vidal and Oscar Tapia, Hector Chiniones, Hector Gonzalez, the CFO, Mr. Sanchez, and we see the entire picture when we're going to buy land. We don't know who the landowners are at the time, and we don't care. We just know we have to build schools because we have so many students in those elementaries that we need to take care of them. So I'm glad that we're finding property. I'm very impressed. What I saw on television with the bond committee, the members that are there, a wide variety of people from all walks of life, and they're all independent thinkers. And the greatest thing we did was that $135 million bond was the committee bond, the Citizens Committee bond. And I'm glad Mr. Barbosa is here because he shows the importance of it. And I know they have another meeting, and I won't attend any of the meetings. I don't want to have any influence on what they do. That's your cup of tea at those committees. So I'm proud of you guys that are in it, and I'm thanking Ms. Gonzalez for presenting to the board to help us with the $135 million. That way, we can come to taxpayers and say, we are frugal with our money. But we still need to build the schools because we promised the bond people, the people that voted for the bond, and that's very important. So it was a great presentation. I want to just thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Any additional comments?
Any additional comments? I'm fine. No.
Okay. All righty, great. Then we move on to 5, discussion on process of selection of architects. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Mr. Lehman, thank you very much. What you have there on, I think it's on page 11 of your handout, is the way we rank architects. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, okay, we're hopefully moving forward with the land and building schools. We need to do that, but we need to design them too. And the thing about it, we need to select architects and real soon, especially for the high school. So and I guess a little discussion here between the board members that are here is that what we have proposed to the board and is that we rank because there's it's hard to pick one architect to build a high school and the middle schools and so on and so forth. They need to do a presentation and see what they have to offer, and what their team consists of, and what commitments they're going to make to the district. I don't want a one-man firm building a high school. I need a company or firm that's very large that can handle that type of a project. That's bottom line. And so it all depends on what we're going to be doing. So the process that I'm saying is administration will select the top 5 firms and then let them present to either the facilities committee or to the whole board. And I guess the discussion I want to know is, we can do the whole board by doing a series of special call board meetings where they can present. And at that time, when they're doing the presentation, we would invite the bond oversight committee. Well, I don't know how Butch is going to do with his committee on an interim basis, but whether he's going to assign a subcommittee for that or the whole committee wants to come and view the presentations along with the board of trustees to be able to see who has the best offer or whatever. But the thing about it is this, that we need to move forward with them. So I'm asking Mr. Lehman as the chairman of this committee, I want to do it next week already. I need to find architects. So
I
as soon
think
as
in
we
the
can-
past, if you wanted to involve the board in the selection process or to help with, I think we had it during the facilities committee meeting.
Yes, we did.
And I think that's more conducive because it only deals with that issue and you don't burden anybody else. So those that need to attend and have to attend will be there. So let's just keep it with what we've done in the past.
And what we will
It seems to work and it has worked.
And what we'll continue to do, we've always done this in the past. I don't know, people have said, well, what happened the last 2 or 3 years? We didn't do this. We didn't. But in the past, we've always had rank the top 3 or 4 or 5 firms and let them present to the board because they need to know what's going on. It just can't be one recommendation coming from administration. So what I like to do, Mr. Lehman, because you are chairman of this committee, is to go ahead and start as soon as possible, rank the top 5, send them to the entire board saying this is the top 5 rank for the high school. And once we get through with that, go to the middle school, go to the elementaries, and get these things out no later than the end of February, starting as soon as we can with a presentation for the high school, selection of the architect for a high school. So what we'll do is we'll rank them. I think we already have all of them in, right, Mr. Tapia?
That's correct.
And as soon as we rank them, bring them on, and have a copy to Mr. Barbosa and his bond oversight committee, and do a presentation to the board. And if we need follow-ups, that will be up to the committee if they want to actually go and visit some of the sites that they've done and so on and what they've designed. We'll give each architectural firm approximately 20 minutes to present. That'll put us at 5 times 20 is what, 100 minutes, and do it in the evening at 5:30, and we'll also videotape it, so that general public that wants to see what's going on selection of architect will have a complete transparency through the form of TV and be able to move forward. I like to do this ASAP though.
Okay, well, you have the green light, and we'll use the facility committee format then.
We use and every board members. Anyway, we post
All-
those meetings, and they can all come if they so
All
desire.
have, like I said, they all can participate.
They all can participate and then take it to a regular scheduled board meeting or even a special call board meeting for the approval and selection of the architects.
Okay. Any further comments from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Lehman?
Yes, ma'am.
I would really like to view some of the work that they have done, on going and seeing some of the work. And also on this evaluation form, I don't see anything on here on getting the work done on time, the school done on time. I think that's very important because we have students waiting to,
That's number 8,
that number 8?
methodology of meeting tight timelines. And I would also like to add that we did forget to put in the weights. This was a sample we did, but on the weights, it works from 1 to 10. And on item 1, you have a 10, and then below that, a 8, 7, 7, 10, 8, 7, 8. Those are the weights that are permanent. And then we rank the left column, which ranks from a 1 to a 5, 1 lowest, 5 highest.
Okay.
So
This is the same format we've been using, I guess, for the last 10 years or so. And it's been working for us. And knowing that it gives everybody an equal opportunity on the ranking system, with the top 5 being able to present to the board. And I think that's very important because it gives them a chance to describe what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be doing it, and the questions that are asked sometimes by board members are very good. And one of the questions is, how many people, how many of your staff are you going to dedicate to developing the plan? Because if you're going to be just one guy, we're never going to get through in the design phase. So to me, it's very important that the right firm is selected. And for little projects, we don't bring them to the board. Like for all those little wings that we're going to be doing at Villanueva and at Perez and all of those, usually those are just cookie cutters that we do anyway, and we move forward on those. But the big projects we like to bring to the board.
And if we can choose a, like an reproduction or recites, we can actually save some money there.
And that's the opportunity that you all, as board members, will be able to do is say, okay, you say you've built 65 high schools. Will you consider taking us to see what you have and see we want to recite one of those high
Or
schools?
recite with modifications.
Yeah, with modifications.
Sometimes you know what you're gonna get, so.
So, and it's good to have that dialogue between the board, the community, and the architect before we even start off with it. Because this is an important task that we're going to be doing. Okay.
Additional comments? Mr. Powers?
Just one thing. I agree with you on that one, Mr. Gonzalez. I'd rather have all administration look at the RFQs, and then you bring your recommendations to us for top 5 approval. That way, it's open transparency. We have nothing to do with this until it comes from administration. People got to understand that. Nothing to do with us until it comes through your hands and your hands. And I think people got to understand that. And that's the way it's been gone for a long time. Then we have the final decision after the recommendation of your staff.
That's right.
Thank you.
And that's what we're trying to do. We don't let anything go to the board's hands without going through ours first. And that the top 5 will be somebody the administration can live with regardless of who you select. That's bottom line.
And with the Citizen Bond Committee
they're gonna be
overlooking
involved.
at, everything's transparent.
I think that by tomorrow they'll be working, is that right, Butch, to develop the bylaws, and I'll be sitting down with y'all and working with those.
Excellent.
That's it?
So we
Additional
have one
comments?
item. One more
Okay, we'll go to item 6, discussion on proposed local funding for new library addition at Rose Elementary School. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman. This is a quick one. I know we need a library at Russell. The library that's out there is 70 years old. Not necessarily new.
Oh, the
And-
books.
About as old as the book. And we're looking, you know, just like we did at Vermillion, we built them a library. Library at Russell is important. Mr. Aguilar brought it to our attention, and I'll be honest with you, he asked me to specifically put this agenda item, and I agreed with him. I had no problems with agreeing with him because that library is small out there. I don't know if you've ever been to the Russell Library. It's old, and it needs to be updated and be brought up to par with a lot of the libraries that we have in the community. And if you ask, how much does it cost? Go look at the Vermillion Library. If you haven't gone out there, it's a standalone. We took the numbers exactly what it is, and it would cost us about $750,000 to build you a library but it's not funded right now, but it's certainly something we can fund out of fund balance. So I'd like to bring this to the board probably in February for approval to fund this project. And I'd like to, if there's any questions, I'd gladly entertain.
Comments?
No?
Mr. Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I'm the budget chair, so, not the budget chair, I'm sorry, I'm on the budget.
I think Mr. Kalunga is.
Yeah, Kalunga is. Well, he'll come sooner or later. I agree with you that, as long as the money is well spent for our students, I have no quarrels when it comes to spending on campus. So I believe in that.
We're looking forward to that, and we have a plan already. It's like a cookie cutter on this one. There's no use to redesign it.
So what's our fund balance now?
Very healthy.
Oh, give me a number.
very healthy.
100,000, 98?
We have in between 95 and 100,000 in
afford-
undesignated, unreserved fund balance. Yes, sir.
$750,000
And
is
it's-
affordable.
We get interest every day on that money.
Okay, thank you. That's affordable. Additional comments? Okay, move on to 7, public input regarding items reviewed and discussed. If anyone from the audience would like to speak on the issues or items that we have discussed, please make your comments known and present yourself at the front of the podium and state your name. Anyone? Any takers?
I would like to invite Mr. Barbosa, if you don't mind, Mr. Barbosa, just to say just a few words of how you felt that Bond Oversight Committee went by. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you were elected as interim chair, so I just want the public to know who you are, put a camera on you, and let everybody know that you're working with us.
Congratulate Mr. Barbosa on his new retirement, so congratulations.
A real quick retirement. Now, first of all, I really want to commend you on this committee that you have appointed. I wanted to say it to the full board, but I will say it to the committee here today, that we're very honored and privileged to serve on such a good committee. And it's just like we indicated at the meeting that we were going to be meeting quite often, you know, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, so we can catch up and get everything going in the right direction and getting it started. And I think it'd be a good asset for the school district that we can work together on this project and work through the community. We had a quick start, and people were already wanting to make comments, and people wanted to come up and do all that kind of stuff. And personally, I'm not the type of person that we can start railroading all kinds of things in here. Thank God that you know, Michael was there to keep time on things and trying to get it going. Excuse me, Mr. Saldaña. But I think we came out all right, and we're going to do well. We're working on our bylaws. There's still a lot of questions from the committee as far as what our true function is and what it is that we can do to help you in any way. And hopefully this coming Thursday, we'll be able to finish the bylaws, and we'll have a full nominating committee to nominate the officers that will be serving the committee and moving forward. And like I said, I really want to thank you very much for giving us the privilege to serve on this committee. And hopefully you'll be proud of us. In order, like we said, you know, if we're good, it's just going to make you look a lot better. And that's what we're here for, to make you all look better in this community and get all the information. I think we've got the great media situation. We've got to use it, and we can use it right, and let the public know exactly what's going on. I mean, just for one day that we met, we came out of this presentation they presented to you, knowledgeable of all this stuff that goes on. As I was talking to Ms. Chalino earlier, I went up to Laredo this weekend, and we were going through the school zone on Friday. Saw all these buses coming and going and stopping on the highway, and I said, never in my life did I ever realize why they're transporting people across the highway and how much we're getting reimbursed. And here in Brownsville, I think it's just a matter of us getting educated of what it is and what's going on. But once again, I certainly want to thank you, giving us the opportunity to serve on this committee, and we'll make it a good year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barbosa. Additional comments?
No.
Well, let me see if anybody else, I guess no one else is going to speak, so go ahead, Ms.
I
Galvan, go ahead.
just wanted to thank Mr. Barbosa and the committee members for giving of their time. It's very important for us as a board to hear from you and to know that you're part of the team too. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, then we adjourn and we close this public meeting, or rather, Facilities Committee meeting. Thank you.